Straightsmile Solutions, straightsmilesolutions.com. Let's talk about bonded retainers, tips, tricks. I have so much content on bonded retainers. It's almost obnoxious, but you guys still have questions. So I guess I'm still making more content because I don't have enough. I think all these tips and tricks are probably in my videos already, but I'm going to stick them all in one very powerful video of not about how to pick a case or how to put one on. I already have content on this. And to be honest, if you want, you really shouldn't be watching videos on how to put them on, because I really think you should be putting them on indirectly and not with floss, unless you're doing a sloppy bonded, which is my version of short-term bonded retainer. We're going to finish in braces or aligners later anyway, so who cares? So this is what I call a sloppy bonded. I have lots of content on sloppy bonded. It's my word, not Labs. Don't call them sloppy bonded because these aren't made by Labs. This is a piece of braided wire put on with floss with 4 drops of glue and 6 drops on the lower. That's a sloppy bonded. But let's say you have decided with your patient that a bonded retainer, upper and lower, or just lower, is the best, at least short-term retainer. That should never be the only retainer. It can be a short-term retainer to keep the front teeth safe while a back teeth bite settles, and then you make Essex to go over theirs that they wear at night. You don't only have a bonded retainer, or you can have a bonded retainer and a Holly, okay? But you don't only have a bonded retainer. That's the first major mistake people do. That's very, very dumb. Okay. Number 2, as soon as you deliver the bonded retainer, you take a photo. Always, always, always. You show that bond, a good quality photo. You're showing that it's on, that it's passive, and that there's glue. You should be able to see the glue on all 4 spots, okay? Because you don't know how many times I've delivered bonded retainers and they're like, ooh, it was never on in all these 4 places. It was always loose. If you have the photo, you're like, oh, really? Yeah, it looks different than when I delivered it. Okay. Every time the patient comes in for retainer recall visits, you take another progress picture, always, because that shows a pattern that patient's coming in. And if patient misses a retainer appointment, you call them, you send them a message, you send them a letter, you do the normal stuff. Bonded retainers are like braces. You are doing active treatment. There's something glued on them. It is your job to make sure they come back for their retainer appointments. If they fail the retainer appointments, you start the process to dismiss them after you've done the text, the phone call, the email, the normal stuff, the nicer stuff first. After you've done all that, then you start your 3-step process with certified letters to dismiss them. If they have a bonded retainer, it's non-negotiable. They must come into your office for frequent recall visits for life. You can't just give them a bonded retainer and let them go. That's what I'm trying to get at. Now, can you charge for those visits? Absolutely. But you better let them know up front that most people, what they do, especially the general dentist, is that they do the no charge bonded retainer check visits at the same time as the cleaning visits. Therefore, you're getting production. You're not going to charge them for this. Now, if they aren't a cleaning patient, then yeah, it's going to be required, or you bundle that into the bonded retainer fee and you tell them the visits are included in the fee. That's probably the best way to do that. But beyond 1 year, you don't have to offer the visits at free anymore. You can let them know it is strongly encouraged that they have someone check their bonded retainer twice a year. You will do it for free at your recall visits if they want to do that. If they choose another office to get their recall visits or hygiene visits at, then they can come in and get it paid. For an additional fee, come in and get it checked. But you got to work it out with them. You got to work out the process and how this is going to work with them, all the different variables, because they might be your hygiene patient right now and they might not be in a few years. How does that liability work? You still have something glued in their mouth. So you need to tell them exactly how it's going to work, what the fees are going to be up front, if they have insurance, if they don't have insurance for visits, etc. So that way you know what the liability is. Now, in that first year, if they do not show up, like I said, you got to dismiss them. They have something in their mouth. That just means that you are no longer liable if something breaks and something moves. That's why you have to dismiss them. You have to get that liability. Get the paperwork on the dismissal from your liability insurance company. Every single state has different rules, dental practice acts. I'm not going to tell you what to say in it, nor am I going to give you paperwork on that. I might have some templates, but it doesn't mean they're right for you. Okay, so you got the idea. That's the warranty part. Now and we talked about taking a photo when we deliver it. Now, if we're letting the bite settle, then we're not going to make the Essex until the bite settles. Patient's going to come in every few weeks. We're going to check the bite. Once the bite is fully settled, then we're going to make the Essex. Patient wears the Essex at night over it. But I want you to save that scan in the cloud. As a matter of fact, you might even want to save the scan of the final occlusion before you put the bonded retainers on, both before and after. Why? So you have to store that in the cloud. Now, Invisalign or Vivera might store it in the cloud for a short period of time, but it's not going to be forever. You need to find a way, if you're doing aftercare, insurance policies, stuff like that, you need to find a third-party storage site, and they're out there. I have some stuff in my content about it, where you can store these. Why? Because if one of these little suckers breaks, patient doesn't notice, let's say this tooth starts to move a tiny bit, as long as you have that scan in the cloud, all you got to do is take this bonded retainer off temporarily, put that S6 back on, tooth will move back, put the bonded retainer back on. Now you're probably going to have to make a new additional. It's unlikely it's all going to come back perfectly, the way it was. So you probably have to make a new S6 to go over it again once this happens. And of course, that's going to be an additional fee for the patient. So you got to figure out how that's going to work, who's paying for what, who's paying for the visit. So again, things you need to have worked out ahead of time. This stuff is going to happen. But if you didn't have that scan in the cloud, there's no way that tooth is going to move back. It's just not. You're going to have to do ortho all over again. So that's why you save the scans in the cloud before you put the bonded retainer on, after you put the bonded retainer on, as well as a full set of photos every time they come in. This is just an insurance policy. Like I said, I can't tell you how many times, especially parents, will try to get away with stuff and they will flat out lie. I'm like, really? Oh, and you don't get hostile. You're like, that's kind of weird because my photos show it's totally fine. And then they shut up. So anyways, do it this way. You will save a ton of money, save a ton of hard work, and probably get a lot more revenue in your practice and have less complaints. All right. Thanks so much.